Hello there, Year 3, and welcome to Set B of Son of the Sea. So as usual with Set B, we are going to go straight into the questions because I've already read the text in Set A. So if you want me to read that to you again, just rewatch the beginning of the Set A video. Otherwise, we're going to get straight to the questions. So here we go. Question 1 is in the vocabulary section. Write down 3 words to describe what kind of evening it was. Write down 3 words to describe what kind of evening it was. So let's have a little scan through the text again. Going to start right at the beginning, bounced along the dark track, so it says dark, so I'm going to write down the word dark. That's a good one. I also know it was really cold as well, because it describes when he's walking along like a penguin onto the freezing sand, so freezing, that's another one. So any relation to freezing or cold, anything like that is good. We also know that it was quite a stormy night as well, because it says but paddling in a stormy sea in the middle of February. A stormy sea, so we know it's stormy as well. I'd also accept any answers that refer to it being sort of wet or windy or anything like that. Anything like that would count, I think. So say something like dark, cold, stormy, wet, windy, anything like that. But we only need 3, remember, just 3. That will get us the mark. So there we go. Question 2. So eventually, Dad had guided Duncan to safety. Explain what guided means in this sentence. Eventually, Dad had guided Duncan to safety. Explain what guided means in this sentence. So, guided, basically, if you guide someone through something, kind of like what I'm doing with you now with this comprehension, it's like showing them how to do it, okay? So, I've put shown him the way, or possibly even led him to safety, okay? So, either of those would get you the mark, so yeah. Shown him the way is what it means to guide someone. Okay, question 3. She laid a misty hand on his shoulder and smiled. What does the word misty tell you about the figure? Tick 2. What does the word misty tell you about the figure? Tick 2. Does it mean she is solid, she is pale, she is see-through, or she smells damp? So what does the word misty tell you about the figure? So mist is sort of like another, if you can picture like what fog looks like, if you've ever seen a foggy day, it's a bit like that, but mist is kind of a bit more sort of glittery at the same time. So does it tell me she is solid? Not really, because if I picture fog, I don't picture something solid. She is pale, yes, because that's sort of what, if fog was around, yeah, it's sort of pale, like a mist. So fog, yeah, pale. She is see-through. Yes, it does, because again, that's what going through fog is. It's sort of a bit, sort of, if it's misty, it's a bit more sort of transparent than fog. So yeah, see-through. She smells damp. Well, it has nothing to do with smell, so no. It's the 2 we should be ticking there are she is pale and she is see-through. Okay, retrieval. Question number 4. What did the wind howl like at the beginning of the story? What did the wind howl like at the beginning of the story? So I need to reread the beginning of the story. It told me right there, beginning of the story. Let's go back to the top of the text. What did the wind howl like? Going through the first sentence, there it is right there at the beginning. All the time, the wind howled like a hungry phantom as it hurled an endless supply of frozen rain at the windscreen. So, what did the wind howl? What did the wind howl like? It howled like a hungry phantom. So I've written a hungry phantom, because that's what it howled like, a hungry phantom. Right there in the text, retrieved, pulled, written down. Question number 5. Okay, what did Dad say when he had planned... what did Dad say he had planned for Duncan's birthday? What did Dad say he had planned for Duncan's birthday? So I'm going to find something like planned and birthday, looking for those. Yeah, again, it's near the top, so on that line of he had wanted to hang out with Callum, Rajesh and Sky, but no. Dad had said he had something special planned. So what did Dad have for his birthday? He had planned something special. So literally, something special is what will get you the mark there. Retrieved, written down. Okay, number 6. What did Duncan walk like when he was barefoot on the cold sand? What did Duncan walk like when he was barefoot on the cold sand? Well, I actually read that one a little bit earlier when I was looking at the stormy sea and the freezing sand. There it is, right near the bottom, sort of near the last paragraph. Duncan found himself doing as he was told. He was soon waddling like a penguin onto the frozen sand. Waddling like a penguin. So that is the answer. It was a penguin. A penguin. That's what Duncan was walking like when he was barefoot in the cold sand. He was waddling like a penguin. So there you go. Okay, question 7. Inference. Look at the first paragraph. What kind of journey did Duncan have to the beach? Tick 1. So we've got 4 options to choose from. We've got short, boring, exciting, or fun. So again, where am I going to be looking? It says right there in the question. It says to look at the first paragraph. That's right, look at the first paragraph. So that's exactly where I'm going to look, and there's something in there that's going to tell me if he found it short, boring, exciting, or fun. Let's look back at the first paragraph right at the start. For 2 long, silent hours, Duncan slouched beside his dad as their battered old car bumped and bounced along the dark track. I'm going to go from that. I think that's plenty of information to go from. For 2 long, silent hours, Duncan slouched beside his dad as their battered old car bumped and bounced along the dark track. So, what kind of journey did Duncan have to the beach? Was it short? No, it says for 2 long, silent hours. It is nothing to do with being short. It's the complete opposite of short. Is it boring? Seems like it to me. For 2 long, silent hours, Duncan slouched beside his dad as their battered old car bumped and bounced along the dark track. Such strong imagery there to tell you how boring it is, isn't it? Okay, really boring. That is definitely the answer, but let's just double check the others just to make sure that I've definitely got it right. Is it exciting? Certainly not. Is it fun? Definitely not. Okay, so it's definitely boring. It's really boring. The way that first sentence has been written, it's a really long, drawn-out sentence to show you how boring his journey is, isn't it? Okay, so it's really clear on that one. Question 8. Look at the section that begins. Then as soon as his numb toes touched the icy... No, sorry. Then as soon as his numb toes touched the icy waters, why was there only an empty seal skin lying on the rock now? So look at the section that begins. Then as soon as his numb toes touched the icy waters, why was there only an empty seal skin lying on the rock now? So I'm going to find that section. So then as soon as his numb toes touched the icy water, starts with that. It's near the bottom, so near where the picture of the seal is. Then as soon as his numb toes touched the icy waters, the seal glowed silver, then white. It was blinding, blazing white that was too bright to look at. So look at that section, and it says there, why was there only an empty seal skin lying on the rock now? So you need to think, why might there just only be an empty seal skin? Because you saw the seal first, and now there's only an empty seal skin. So there's a couple of different answers. So I've written a few different possible answers you could have here. So we could say that the seal skin was a disguise, possibly, because it was trying to show a seal to begin with, then later it revealed it to be the mother. The real spirit was inside, could have been inside the seal skin and then come out of the seal skin afterwards. Could be the skin opened and a spirit figure came out, possibly, similar to the previous one I just said there. Or possibly it was a magical seal skin and a mysterious figure came out of it, something to do with magic, because again we know it's misty and a sort of fantasy element to it as well. So yeah, anything to do with that is going to get you the mark for that one. Okay, right, question 9. Question 9. Think about how Dad acts through the story, then look at the statements below. Tick whether you think it is true or false. So we've only got one to choose from here, but then it says explain why you think this. So our one statement we're deciding is true or false here is, Dad looks after Duncan well. Is that true or false? Explain why you think this. So think about how Dad acts through the story and then look at the statements below. Tick whether you think it is true or false. Dad looks after Duncan well. Is that true or false? Explain why you think this. Well, this is another one of those interesting ones where actually you could say true or you could say false. You could argue both ways. This one will get you the mark depending on your explanation. So your explanation needs to be detailed. Look at the number of lines underneath explain. There are 3 lines for you to write on. That means you cannot just write 1 or 2 words to get your answer. You must be detailed. Explain why you think this. It says explain. If it says explain, you need to be explaining it clearly. So my explanations usually will begin with the word because. So I've got some different arguments for you. I've got 4 arguments for true and 4 arguments for false. So I'm going to read you my true ones first. So if you said true, here's the sort of answers you could have had. Okay, if you said true, this is what you could have had. You could have said, because Dad drives Duncan a long way on a stormy night to meet his mother. Okay, so yes, I think he does look after Duncan well because he's driving a long way to meet his mother. Okay, that's something caring. He's trying to take him to see his mum. Dad reminds Duncan to wear his hat. He's considered about him being cold. Dad guides Duncan safely to the beach because we know that he gets him safely there. Dad is excited for Duncan to meet his mother. Okay, anything like that is a good argument for it being true that Dad does look after Duncan well. If you were going to argue the other way and say that Dad doesn't look after Duncan well, here are some arguments you could have for that. So if you said false, here's what you could have had. I said, Dad doesn't let Duncan spend time with his friends on his birthday. So he could have thought about that. He didn't think about that. That's what Duncan wanted to do. Dad makes Duncan go outside on a stormy night. So again, he's not really considered about it being sort of dark and stormy as well. Dad tells Duncan to paddle in the cold sea. Okay, so he's telling him to go out in the freezing cold sea at night time as well. Okay, the last one I've said is Dad doesn't explain what is happening. He doesn't actually directly tell him. He just says, I've got something special planned, and he keeps it all a mystery. Okay, and obviously to a 10-year-old child, that's obviously going to be a bit confusing. So, yep, there we go. There's some arguments to be true, there's some arguments to be false. Again, it all depends on how you've answered the question. So if you'd like me to double check your answer, leave me a comment and I will have a double check and see if I agree with you on that one. Right, number 10, meaning as a whole. Retell the story in your own words. So we did this last time. Now, funnily enough, I'm going to address this now because when I was in school last week, for a question like this, it said, retell the story in your own words. I actually had children, instead of retelling the story, they seem to just be reimagining the story and putting new elements into the story. I'm not sure why some children thought that, but I thought I'd better address that misconception now. If you are retelling something, okay, you have to tell the same story, but in your own words. So not copying from the text, you have to put it in your own words. Okay, so not covering everything doesn't mean copy the whole text. If you are retelling, you need to be almost summarizing. You need to just get the main points through and make sure that comes across. Okay, so we're retelling the story in our own words. So I'm going to read you what I've got. I'm going to show you how long mine is as well. All of this green here is mine. Okay, so it's quite detailed for mine. As you can see, there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 lines for you to do this. So it's quite a detailed one. So here's mine. Here's my example. But basically, your answer needs to include all of the key elements and explain that Duncan meets his mother at the end of the story. As long as it does that, it should be detailed enough. So here's mine. On a late, stormy night on his 10th birthday, a boy called Duncan was being driven to a beach by his dad. Duncan didn't understand why they were there and was confused when his dad told him to take off his boots and socks, then paddle out towards a seal figure in the distance. Duncan trusted his dad and started waddling like a penguin towards the figure. Finally, when he reached the figure, he saw an empty sealskin, then noticed a misty, silver figure that seemed to be his mother because she wished him a happy birthday and called him my son. Very, very detailed how I've got that, isn't it? Okay, very detailed. I've basically covered all the points. I've gone right from the beginning. I've said it was a late, stormy night. It was his 10th birthday. I've told you it was a boy called Duncan. I've told you they're being driven to a beach by dad, and I've told you that he got confused and he took his shoes and socks off and he started waddling like a penguin. Okay, and then eventually he reaches the figure and we discover that it's actually his mother, and we know that because of what she says. All of that is in my answer. Okay, it's very detailed. You need to be detailed. And again, always look at the number of lines in a comprehension paper. The number of lines tell you how detailed your answer needs to be. If you've only written an answer and it covers the first line only, do you think that's going to be detailed enough? I don't think so. It needs to be detailed. So again, look out for my answers that I'm going to post later on today, and you'll see my example. Right, question 11, authorial intent. Give 2 reasons why the story is called Son of the Sea. Give 2 reasons why the story is called Son of the Sea. So, the key one, we actually do have it saying Son of the Sea in the story. So if you remember, Dad calls him Son of the Sea because he loves swimming, doesn't he? Okay. So give 2 reasons why the story is called Son of the Sea. Okay, I'm going to say for that one, because Duncan's dad calls him Son of the Sea. He literally calls him Son of the Sea. Okay, we know it's because he goes swimming. Okay. I've also got because Duncan's mother is a magical sea creature or a spirit. Okay, So again, the fact that she is a creature of the sea means he's a son of the sea in that respect, because his mother is a sea creature. We know she's a seal, who can take human form as well. So that's why. It's because his mother is a magical sea creature or spirit. So he's literally a son of the sea, but also because Dad calls him a son of the sea. So those are your two answers. Because Dad calls him son of the sea, and because Duncan's mother is a magical sea creature. But I'd also accept because Duncan enjoys spending time in the sea. That would also be fine, I think. Right. Question 12. Compare. How does Duncan's mood change throughout the story? How does Duncan's mood change throughout the story? Again, look at the question. 3 lines, I need detail. Okay? How does Duncan's mood change throughout the story? So I've said for mine, at the beginning, Duncan is disappointed not to be spending his birthday with his friends and was bored of the long, silent car journey. In the middle, he feels confused and then surprised. And at the end, he may have felt scared because of the magical flash, then happy to see his mum. Okay? So I've actually got a lot of detail. I've said right from the beginning how he felt. He felt bored. In the middle, he started to get confused and then surprised. And then at the very end, he was scared because he couldn't understand what the magical creature was. But then he was happy because he saw his mum. So lots of change going on there. So I've detailed all the different times it changed in the right order, in chronological order, okay? So there we go. That is the end of Son of the Sea. Do hope you enjoyed that text. I think it was an interesting one. So tomorrow we'll be having a new text. It's actually going to be a non-fiction text. So that's going to be something slightly different. Means something that's actually factual, something that's true, not a story. So look out for that one and take care. I will see you tomorrow where we're going to tackle a new text. So there we go.